All right, have you seen what people are saying about the snow?
And I found lead and mercury.
Oh, you guys are not gonna believe what is in the snow.
I live in North Carolina and we just had a big sort of big snowstorm. Honestly, I don't know if it was just sleet that looked like snow after it fell or what, but I saw this video.
When my kids and grandkids came in from playing in the snow today, I noticed a irritation and skin rash on their hands and feet and wrist, ankles, forearms, and so I took a little deeper dive and I tested the snow and I found lead and mercury.
We're gonna collect some snow, hang on.
And just ignore how messy everything is. We're just gonna collect like straight from the ground. Oh my gosh. It is completely ice. I thought that was gonna be way easier. Oh my gosh, hang on. Oh.
We're gonna muscle test this snow slash sleet, I guess, right here. First, I'm gonna do it with the virtual test kit, which is how we teach it inside of Discernment Framework. But then I'm going to double check it with a different test kit that I actually have for like pathogens and toxins. Okay, so cool. Let's start by getting our system cleaned up so that we know we're getting accurate answers. First, we're going to test the light field. That was good. The nervous system, not so good. Okay, we're good now. Yeah, the neurogenic switching is not good. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's from touching the snow. Okay. Let's just go ahead and do all 10. Gosh, sorry if you can hear me wheezing. I've had an upper respiratory thing for about a month now. Okay, so. Okay, cool. So let's just get our reference sway. And it is backward. It is a stress response. So I'm going to start with bacteria. Without looking at the microscopy images of the bacteria, let's go ahead and get our reference sway from this angle so you can really see what's happening, okay? So those are backwards. So now looking at the bacteria, it's still a backward. So there's no correlation with gram positive. I'm just going to go down the list until I get a correlation, and then I'll tell you what it is, okay? And we're going to write it all on the board. Oh, oh, wow. The wheeze is intense. You guys are not going to believe what is in the snow. Is this showing up mirrored? It's Bartonella. For those of you who don't know, we're talking about Lyme and co-infections, like spirochete types of bacteria. This is not good. Speaking of the devil. Oh my gosh. Let me make sure I spell this right. Whooping cough. Literally just told you guys I've been wheezing for like a month after I got sick, and I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. I have a story about whooping cough that I'll tell you guys sometime. Interesting. Interesting. Just want to make sure I spell this right. Brucellosis. Spread by animals. Which I guess isn't that surprising for snow that was just on the ground, right? I did scrape this off of our picnic table, our kids' picnic table outside. Oh! Okay. So I guess we can't like fully say that it's the snow or like the little dirt particles that were on the picnic table. Maybe I should do like a second sample. Maybe I should do multiple samples from different places and then kind of cross-reference them. Okay. I'm not telling you what the negatives are. I'm just going to tell you what the positives are, because we're only like barely into the bacteria and we have so many other things to test. All the backward sways are no's, but only because our reference sway, our first sway without any additional data points, was a backward sway. So the sway is not changing. It's not a no because it's just a backward sway, like traditional muscle testing. This is advanced muscle testing. So what we're doing is correlation. So we're looking for something to reverse that initial sway. It could have been a positive, but because it was backwards, any additional data point we add, any single data point that gives us a backwards on top of that first backwards is no correlation. When we get a forward sway, because that first reference sway was a backwards, it reversed the sway. There is a correlation. I know that's a little bit confusing, but this is so much more accurate than backwards equals no, forward equals yes. And I don't know if we'll get into it in this video, but you'll see that really matters when you start adding multiple data points to really like flesh out a more detailed and accurate answer. Because you're just going to be, you know, reversing the last sway in a string of, you know, data points to see what correlates. Okie dokie. And I'm just looking at the microscopy. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm not actually looking at the names below it. So I'm trying to keep it as single blinded as possible. I don't know what anything looks like under a microscope just off the rip. But when I do get a forward sway, then I look at the name and we can see, you know, what it actually was. And I wish I was wearing something a little bit more form-fitting so you could see my form for the sway. But whatever. That's a different video. And again, we'll cross-reference this with actual microscopy that I have in a different test kit. But the virtual test kit is pretty accurate. Oh good, it's not mycoplasma. At least there's that. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. There's some controversy over this. We'll get into that later. Okay. Is that it? No, one more. Okay. At least it's not the plague. All right. Let's go to, can I say this word on YouTube? Viruses. Let's go to viruses. Okay. Just to reset us, let's go ahead and get our reference sway. Okay, now let's, all right. I'm getting itchy in this sweater. Okay, so far no viruses, just these bacteria. This is not surprising to me because it is snow. It's water from lakes and rivers and stuff that's been evaporated and then precipitated back down. So this is a little bit surprising to me, but these things are going to be found in nature, you know. So what I want to do is go ahead and move over to the physical test kit. There's a little bit of condensation from... Before we put anything on, before we test anything physical here, I want to go ahead and get a reference sway again. Okay, so the reference sway is backwards. I'll tell you what this is after we test it. I am fully expecting this to be positive, but we're testing different dilutions of it. This is a toxicant. So we'll see at what dilution. If anything, I mean, there might not be any of this in there. I will be very surprised. And maybe my muscle testing is just wonky. Okay, there's glyphosate. So there's lots of glyphosate. That's not surprising whatsoever. For normal snow or some sort of adulterated snow, none of that is surprising. Now let's move on to the bacteria and parasites and viruses and stuff. So again, first let's get our reference sway, and you guys can see like it is melting. Like that's quite, I feel like a normal amount for something to melt. That was a no for retroviruses. That's good. But also, again, the likelihood of a virus surviving in snow, unless it's, I don't think I can say this word on YouTube, but unless it's the thing that you give people to inoculate against it, why would a virus show up in the snow? Because there's no like medium for it to live on. Okay, so we did get parasites here, which again, that should not be surprising to anyone that parasites would be in the snow. So we're talking about precipitation that was originally, you know, random things in the groundwater. What were, that was bacteria 1, that was mold 1. Ropeworm, that's interesting because ropeworm is not like, there's a lot of debate on ropeworm, what it is, and all the possible collection of things that it is. So, what is this, our pile? Yeah, this is our pile of things that it does have in it. Lots of controversy on ropeworm. Okay, so I did get viruses on that one. Okay, so let's do some more specific testing. These are just frequencies of these things that are on DVDs. And then we can narrow it down by actually like looking at the list. Okay, so I'm going to test a chunk at a time and see if maybe it'll work this way just through intention alone, which it should. Okay. Oh, this is just so not good. All right, I'm just gonna have to look at it. Oh, thank God. It's not rabies. Okay, this tells me that we found something that is maybe a false negative, not a false positive, but a false negative. So I'm gonna go ahead and test it with kitty paws, and actually we're gonna go ahead and, all right, so, okay. Yeah, okay. I don't know what this is, but we'll look it up. Toga virus. Yeah. Yeah, okay. What else came up? Ropeworm. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that because technically it is a parasite. And again, like, that's not that surprising. A little bit controversial what ropeworm actually is, but just doesn't really matter for our intents and purposes. Now let's move on to the types of, this is the microscopy slides that would correlate with like some of these things. So let's get our first sway on just the snow. Should I go ahead and reset? Yeah, let's go ahead and reset again because I had to bring in the kitty paws. That tells me we need to reset. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our backward sway. Now we're going to start testing things. Yep, so confirmed. Yep, confirmed. We probably did test pertussis, but because it didn't show up in the physical test kit when we isolated just the snow, this is probably a me problem. That's probably why that showed up on the testing. So I may have pertussis. It appears as though the snow is probably pertussis free. Okay, and then this also did not show up in the physical testing when I isolated the snow, so we're just going to eliminate that for now. These things I would expect to be in snow potentially anyway. This, we're going to have to look that up, but we haven't gotten into the rest of the toxicants. But you know what I did forget to write up here was the glyphosate, which again, not super surprising. We didn't test that in the virtual test kit. We only tested it in the physical test kit, but the snow was isolated when we tested that. So that is snow glyphosate, not Elizabeth glyphosate. All right, let me get out my test kit to do some metals. Let's start with, well, let's get our reference sway again. Yep. What will reverse it? That's weird to me that is a no. God dang, let's get the kitty paws in here. Yeah, all right. So it was a false no. Kind of running out of room, but shocker. Big shocker. I mean, we know this stuff is being sprayed in the sky, so why wouldn't it be in the snow? I mean, this might be surprising to some people, but it is not at all surprising to me. These are mostly remedies, but there are some toxicants in here. Hopefully. That may be it, actually. What did that guy say? He said it was mercury and lead that he found. All right, let's do mercury. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't have lead anywhere. Let's just do a makeshift test kit, virtual test kit for lead. Here's a picture of lead. So we'll get our reference sway, backward sway. Yeah, okay, so when we isolate the snow, it's snow lead, not Elizabeth lead. All right, what else am I missing? What else could be in the snow? Could I take another sample that doesn't have dirt from the surface of the picnic table, or... None of this is surprising to me, but what I do want to do, I do want to look up, what is toga virus? A family of enveloped single-stranded RNA viruses that include rubella. The fuck? And equine encephalitis. Is that what they... Yeah. This is the thing that I think is surprising to me about the snow. Because how is a virus surviving on a medium that isn't living? You know what I mean? Like, it's not... Snow doesn't have the same properties as like agar, you know, in a petri dish, or a living person, you know? So like how is this in the snow? If not somehow engineered to be there? Comment below. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Am I crazy?